Alright, hey guys, remember CCG, and I'm here to bring you a deck profile. So this is for Frightfurs, and this is in Master Duel. I finally managed to finish another deck in Master Duel. It's a bit difficult to do it, a lot of crafting and such, but I finally got the Frightfur deck that I wanted here in Master Duel. And yeah, I would like to hear your guys like recommendations or things that you would change or what you can consider adding, or just because of the format's different on Master Duel, what would be an interesting like tech card to add. But yeah, as always, if you're enjoying the video, just make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and all that. And let's get started. So here, okay, we're gonna just start right away. So here I run one Fluffle Cat. So Fluffle Cat is just your if it's used as a fusion material, you get a poly back. It's not that great. It's just a good one of. It's a solid one where you can occasionally use it to recycle polymerization, which is nice if you're gonna need a. It's typically good if you're gonna go like poly, fuse two things, get a Frightfur monster, and then get the poly back, poly again to get the Sabertooth, to get Frightfur Sabertooth. But yeah. Two Fluffle Wings. So Fluffle Wings is nice because this is your draw power, and two is enough. Any more, and you're gonna be have too many of them, and it's gonna clog up your hand. So here, as my hand trap, I run Herald of Orange Light. I think Herald of Orange Light is really nice. It's a monster negate. You do have to discard a fairy, but you do draw so much in this deck that I think having two of these is fine, and you can discard the other copy of the Herald if you need to. I like it personally as a hand trap, and it's just synergizes well with the deck. Fluffle Owl. So Fluffle Owl is a poly search, and it does let you fusion summon, depending on which effect you want to use for that turn. It's a good effect. It's just to search out your polymerization or whatever you need to go for. Sheep is nice. Sheep just lets you special summon it, and then you can like switch out a Fluffle if you have to. And this is nice in case they try to like negate your first Fluffle and you have another Fluffle effect that you kind of want to go into, or just get the sheep out. Yeah, it's pretty great. Sabers is nice. You're gonna need this card. Basically, you're just gonna use it to fuse. You can use this effect occasionally if you want to manipulate for Toy Vendor. But basically, you're just gonna use this so you can fuse into your into your tiger and your wolf. But yeah. Two, Fluffle Bear. This is just to get into your toy vendors. Again, two is pretty good. Typically, if you get a Fluffle Bear and a Fluffle Wing, you can just use Fluffle Bear, set the toy vendor, activate toy vendor, send the Fluffle Wing, and then Fluffle Wing, banish Fluffle Bear. And from there, you can draw a card, and then send the toy vendor, draw another card, and then use toy vendor's effect to get a Fluffle, another Fluffle, or an Edge Imp Sabers. So, pretty good synergy if you get these two in your first hand. Edge Imp Scythe, which is my favorite Edge Imp. This card lets you fusion summon during your opponent's turn, which is really nice because if you're able to fusion summon during your opponent's turn, you usually go into Cruel Whale, and you lock, or I'll show you guys what you typically do, but you can just go into Cruel Whale and then pop a card in their field. It just gives you another way to interact with your opponent. It's similar to a hand trap in that sense. Three, Fluffle Dog. Fluffle Dog lets you search out a Fluffle monster or an Edge Imp Sabers. It's pretty good. You're going to need three of these copies just as a searcher, and it's a really nice one. Edge Imp Chain. The main thing about Edge Imp Chain is that you're going to use this to go into your search out your Frightfur Patchwork. It's a great way about going. It's a great way of going about it, and yeah, three copies is really nice for that. Fluffle Penguin. Fluffle Penguin's probably the best Fluffle in the deck. Now that I'm looking at it, it's either Fluffle Dog or Fluffle Penguin, but I think Fluffle Penguin's better. Fluffle Penguin's nice. You get to special summon another Fluffle monster from your hand, which makes it easy if you want to go into Bahamut Shark, and then totally awesome. Since if you have Fluffle Penguin, you can just special summon Fluffle Dolphin, and then exceed into Bahamut Shark, and then go into totally awesome. And if it's used as fusion material, you get to draw two and discard a card. Amazing card. Really good card. Here we have Fluffle Dolphin. So Fluffle Dolphin's nice. Like I said, the main thing about this is just so that you can go to Bahamut Shark. But it does have an effect where you can target a toy vendor in your grave, set it, and if you do, send one Fluffle monster or Edge Imp Sabers from your deck to the grave, which is the main effect you're going to be going for. Typically, if I have a toy vendor in the grave, I just set that card, and then I just send a Fluffle Wing. And then if you have another Fluffle in there, you could just use the Fluffle Wing. Pretty good synergy. Just draw a bunch of cards. That's the fun thing about this deck, is that if you love to draw cards, you're going to draw them, and you're going to summon like these cool beaters. And it's very much committed to the archetype. It's not like other decks where you have to where you're basically just summoning like generic monsters. You're pretty much just summoning monsters from this archetype. So it's really nice. Artifact Scythe, just lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Pretty good. Typically, you're just gonna want to like fuse, like I was talking about with Edgem Scythe. You just fuse during your opponent's turn. Summon the Cruel Whale, pop the Scythe, and pop, and then with the other Cruel Whale effect, or with Cruel Whale pops one card on their side of the field and one card on your side. Just pop your Scythe and then pop one of their cards, and now they're locked out of the extra deck. So if they play an extra deck oriented deck, which is like 80 to 90% of Yu-Gi-Oh, then yeah, that's annoying for them. 2 polys, main thing. Get into Patchwork. Main thing is so that Patchwork has something to search. Really good. Yeah, just running 2. Frightfur Fusion, just banish things in your grave. This is great if you're going to finish your opponent off. Yeah, it's a great way of going about it. Foolish Burial Goods, just to ditch the toy vendors. You want to run 3 copies. It's basically a search for any card, any monster in your deck, essentially. 3 Frightfur Patchwork, you get to add 1 Edgent monster and a Polymerization from your deck to your hand. It's a +1. And you get to choose that Edgent monster. So typically I like to go for Scythe or Chain. But typically I just go for Scythe if I'm just going to fuse during their turn. Frightfur Repair. Frightfur Repair is a really good target for sending for Frightfur Cruel, because with Cruel you can just send any Frightfur card to the grave from your deck or extra deck. So I just send the Frightfur Repair to the grave, and that works pretty well. Triple Tactic Talents. If your opponent tries to do something to slow you down during your turn, just to use this, and you can just punish them for trying to play and like interact with you during your turn. 3 Toy Vendor, really nice card. It's not once per turn. It's a soft once per turn, which means it's like limited to the card while it's on the field. But if this card gets recycled, or if a different copy gets put on the field, then you can just keep using the effect. Which is why having 3 Foolish Burial Goods is nice, because even if you have another way to discard the Toy Vendor, if you can discard multiple copies, you're still able to trigger their effects. So it's a really good card, and it's a really fun card to play with. Here, Super Polymerization. You can just fuse your opponent's cards. It's nice. 1 copy. It can get a little clunky, but a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh decks, I'd say it feels like 50 to 60% of Yu-Gi-Oh decks are like dark decks. And since you have like Edgem Chain here as a dark, you can just do that, or you can just or to get into the Starving Venom, or you can fuse their own cards to go into the Mud Dragon. Called by the Grave, again for hand traps like Triple Tactic Talents. This deck doesn't seem to get too punished by hand traps, thankfully. There are a few that you have to look out for. Dimbiru, for instance, if you get too ambitious and try to summon a lot of things, typically you can sort of limit it, and you like spread out the summons through your turn and your opponent's turn because of the Scythe. So I feel like this is really good, and it's a really fun deck to play. Mud Dragon, it's a target for your Super Poly. It's 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. So if that applies to your opponent's monsters, this is relevant. Frightfur Wolf. Edgem Sabers plus 1 more Fluffle monsters. It's just a way to just keep beating over your opponent. This is a card you're going to be going into a lot if you're just going to finish your opponent or they have a pretty open board. So that's a great way of going about it. Frightfur Tiger. You're just going to pop a bunch of cards on the field, and all Frightfur monsters you control gain 300 attack for each Fluffle monster and Frightfur monsters you control. So that's nice, just beefing up your Frightfur monsters, which is nice for Wolf because Wolf can attack multiple times depending on how much material you used. Sabertooth, typically you're gonna like just fuse it using like one of your extra Frightfurs that you don't need, and then you get to bring back that Frightfur that uses fusion material. So pretty good. Oh, and it also can become indestructible by battle or by card effect, which is nice. Of course, it could still be targeted and bounced or whatever, banished, but it just becomes like an annoying card for your opponent to have to deal with. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is just mainly a target for Super Poly if they have something that you can't deal with. This is pretty great way of going about it, just fusing into this, and you have a free monster that's really good. Frightfur Kraken. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. It's really nice removal. If you can't, if there's a card, for instance, like Frightfur Sabertooth, where you can't beat over it, just use this, send it to the grave. Pretty nice, and it can attack 2 times, but it cannot attack directly when the turn uses it. So 1 copy is really nice. 3 Cruel Whale. Cruel Whale is probably the best Frightfur in the deck. This card lets you destroy one card on both players' sides of the field. So again, this is the main way to synergize with Artifact Scythe. 3 copies is really nice since you're probably gonna. There's a good chance that you might summon 3. I typically just summon 1 or 2, just because I'm able to finish them beforehand. But having 3 copies is nice for the grind. And yeah, being able to increase one of your Frightfur monster attacks by equal to half of its original attack by sending a Frightfur card from your extra deck or deck to the grave is really nice. Again, just beef up the wolf, and then the wolf can finish from there. So Bahamut Shark, you know, Penguin and Dolphin go into Bahamut Shark, and then sub in totally awesome. It's an Omni Negate, and you can take that card that you destroyed. Really good. Cross Sheep is just something to link into in case you have to. And if it's a fusion monster, special summon on one of its arrows, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your grave. It's not negated, so you can just continue doing some plays. Pretty nice. Dagda is just another way of going into. It's essentially a searcher for Scythe. It's always really good because when an effect or another card on the field is activated, you can set 1 artifact monster from your hand or deck to the spawn trap card zone, but destroy it during your opponent's next end phase. Typically, you're going to destroy it before that, so yeah, pretty great. Appaloosa, if you have a lot of extra monsters, just go for Appaloosa. This is your way to set up some sort of monster negate. It's pretty solid, and yeah, it's really good. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the deck. I'm really liking it. It's pretty much the same build that I use like IRL. That's why I kind of want to change it up and see if you guys have any ideas for like this format of things that I should change, or if you guys agree or disagree with certain parts of the deck. I would like to hear that. But yeah, if you guys liked the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.